I'd argue our opportunity is like kind of one step beyond Tesla because, Musk innovated on the electric cars, on the self-driving, on the manufacturing process, but we're actually able to go even one step kind of beyond that.
Welcome to Fargo Talks.
Fargo Talks.
Fargo Talks.
This is Fargo Talks.
And anyone that's in real estate in Las Vegas knows who you are and is talking about you.
Nice.
Yeah, dude, I'm giving props where props are due. I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. Like, it's legit. You've caught lightning in a bottle.
It certainly feels like that.
Right. And so talk to me about how did this thing come about? Like from social media?
Yeah. So for anyone that's not familiar with Boxable, we are a manufacturer of houses. So we basically have these 3 factory buildings here in Las Vegas where we're producing housing using new building materials, new manufacturing methods. And then we also have a shipping solution. So you'll notice when you go on the website that the house actually folds up so that it can fit on the road. So all those things we're doing were to kind of solve the various problems that have stopped houses from being mass produced in a factory. Because the way we're building houses right now, like 90% of them are built on site, one at a time, using hand tools, using skilled trades. It's very slow. The result is there's not enough housing. It's not affordable. The problem's not getting any better. So we said, we need to just be building these things the same way that we're building every other modern product, which is on an assembly line in a factory. If you look at like a Ford factory or a Tesla factory, they're putting out 1 car every minute or less. No reason why we shouldn't be doing that with housing. So that's what we've set out to do, and we're well on our way, and things have been moving along really quickly. Started off in basically like early 2018, just with an idea and some drawings and a website. And then now we've been in operation manufacturing for a little over 2 years, built over 500 houses, and have big plans to keep scaling up.
We'll talk scale later on.
Yeah.
Again, I'm a very I have no fucking filter, as you can kind of tell. And that's an East Coast thing.
Good.
Were you like high as fuck? It was like a bunch of guys and just got really fucking high or like microdosing. You're like, we need to do better homes. Like the housing market's broken. How can we fix it? Like talk to me about that. Like who was in the room and what, like, was it booze? Was it edibles? What was it? Cause it's incredible what you've done. It's really fucking cool.
Not really getting high so much these days lately. But I was actually on my pot farm when I started Boxable. So I had a business before this in Northern California. We had a marijuana farming operation and a hash oil production lab, and it was just totally crazy. But that business was doing well. It was kind of on autopilot. And I was like, what else? What other projects can I get started on? And so I started talking to my dad, who's the other owner of the company. And years before that, he had the idea to fold up the house because he actually built a house back in Connecticut, where we're from. He built it using traditional modular housing, and he experienced all the problems that come with shipping the wide loads. So most of these modular houses are 12 or 14 feet wide, so they don't fit on the road. So it's very expensive to ship them, and it doesn't really work. And that's one of the reasons houses aren't built in the factories, because they can't ship down the highway. So back then he had a business basically inventing stuff, patenting the inventions and selling the patents. So that was one of the inventions he had, was let's fold up the house. Brilliant. And then, around 2018, I started talking to him about, what kind of ideas can we grab and run with just as another project. And I said, what about the folding house idea? He said, yeah, let's go for it. And, we made a website, we made some 3D renders and started getting some interest online and some traction. And now we find ourselves here.
And full disclosure, I'm an investor. I bought your stock. Like I'm in. I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I believe wholeheartedly what you're doing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Are you still out there like doing financing? What round are you on? How much have you raised that you can talk about?
So it's a little tricky for me to talk about
Right.
investment stuff because it's like heavily regulated through the SEC. So
Whatever's public information.
I'm kind of like scared to say anything about investing
Okay.
at all, except that, historically we've raised now over $150 million from over 40,000 investors. That all came through basically the internet and our website. So back when we started, I really didn't have any experience raising money, had never raised money for any previous projects, had no experience doing marketing, and early on just figured out how to get views online and then how to capture those leads and convert those leads into things like investors or customers or suppliers. And I basically realized, this is a numbers game. And, if I can get enough people to see what we're doing, a certain amount of them will be able to do what we need to do. So that's allowed the company to accelerate like dramatically by pulling in all that funding and all that other interest. And, it all comes back to, viral social media marketing. And I think that can kind of apply to any business, any product these days. And it's really been an amazing wild ride for me to learn how to do it and dial it in and get so good at it.
So, and again, I've been a marketing guy. I was doing social media marketing with America Online back in '94.
You're like sending out floppy disks?
Oh, when you'd get that floppy, that was the best loss leader, campaign ever, is when they'd send it to you and you get 100 hours for free. And then after that, it was like, $14.95 a month and done. And I'm getting catfished, in chat rooms, thinking it was a leggy blonde with a thigh gap, from Santa Barbara. And it was some, morbidly obese guy from Spanish Harlem with skin tags. Don't care.
As long as you didn't know, I mean.
To me, it wasn't, nothing wrong with it, but I'm not gay. That's my only like experimental phase, was like the mid to early 90s, because, there's guaranteed I was catfished by 4 or 5 guys. Please. Had no idea. Send me your picture. And it's some, she's hot. Please.
It's tricky.
It was, and so that happened. But I always look at like what you're doing now. You should have a podcast studio out where you are. You should do that.
We are planning to ramp up the content.
Dude.
And part of that is going to be podcasts and inviting guests on just to grab all those clips. Because, you can keep posting clips on TikTok or Reels or YouTube Shorts. And one day one of them will hit and you'll get a few million views. And that's just worth so much money. So much money. We just had a few videos we posted recently on Reels. I think the last one from a few days ago did 6 million views on just a reel. And it just was, one day I'm sitting there thinking about it. I'm like, all right, let me write out a quick little script of a video that I think will quickly, effectively communicate the message and keep people interested. And that formula just happened to hit. And, that is worth so much to us or any business to have that many people find out about what you're doing.
Nice, right? Yeah. For nothing.
Yeah.
Look at ChatGPT sometime, if you haven't, and have it scrub your website and say, please create for me 10, 30-second scripts for viral social media videos.
Oh, nice. You know what we actually did? We took it a step further. I had my guys set up ChatGPT to read tweets from big accounts, like read Elon Musk's tweets and then immediately write back a funny or informative reply so that we would get engagement
on the radar.
And so boom, we were just like making all these like really good posts. And then we got banned. Because I guess, obviously there's something against their terms of service on that.
Yeah.
Luckily, we didn't do it with our main account because I'd be crying if we lost our main account. It was just some burner account.
You always want to, and again, it's, we're talking, but it's, you always, whenever you're beta testing something like that, you want to have like Boxable with like 3 other L's on the end. And that's like your dummy account, and use that.
Yeah.
And then see what happens. And then whatever you beta test there, and then go ahead and see after a few months.
It's going to get crazy though, like AI generated content. I mean, at what point is there just so much AI generated content that's like all there is,
It is, to me, and I use it every day, because I'm deploying 2 to 3 pieces of content every single day on 12 different channels. So I use it I take one of my 30-second shorts that my guys edit that. I get the shorts in a Google Drive. I put it in Descript, which then pulls out a transcript in Word.
Nice.
I take that and I put it, I've got a giant prompt going with ChatGPT, and it creates from that 10 suggested social media headlines, as well as a detailed description for YouTube and a hook to subscribe to my YouTube channel.
Love it. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're just getting
That's the stuff.
started.
And I'm again, we offline, we could, I'm happy to help. Come out there. I'll go out there and give me a Boxable hoodie. We'll call it even.
Nice. All right. Yeah. I have a big list of AI stuff, in the hopper that we want to get going. Everything from social media posting to even like our customer service. Like, for example, when somebody emails us, I want an AI generated reply ready for our reps to quickly read and click send on. I don't want them ever, typing anything up again. And I think that's pretty straightforward. We feed ChatGPT our FAQ, our SEC documents, all the information that it needs to know, and it should easily be able to reply to emails and speed up our whole system.
Have something where it's a 24-hour text as well, and have it so you can have it's already available. So it's an AI person replying.
Chatbot.
It's replying to that person, given ChatGPT's info going through the AI mouth of a AI person.
Yeah.
With Boxable branding behind that person will be wearing a Boxable hat or hoodie or whatever, and something that's reflective of your corporate culture. So the person looks like it's an employee of Boxable.
Yeah, we have the pig.
Yeah.
The pig mascot.
And you have like the pig in the back and do have the pig floating.
Yeah. So we have a pig that's like mostly like inappropriate. So like, he's wearing different inappropriate outfits and stuff.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Who's the demographic? Like who the market that is coming in, that are putting deposits down and buying your houses?
It's really such a huge range of people. And I think that's just because there's so many. We've got like over 200,000 people that have signed up to put their name on the list to show that they're interested in wanting to buy a casita, for example. And then we have, the 40,000 investors, and then we have lists of people that want to be, installers of the product, or, all sorts of different things. A lot of people now are the ones interested in kind of tiny home stuff, but, our company, the vision for it goes far beyond tiny homes. Luckily, that was what we started with the first product, and that grabbed people's imagination, and that was like a popular thing that people were interested in. So in hindsight, that was just a good call. But the grand plan is a system of room modules in different sizes with different configurations that can stack and connect to build like basically all different residential buildings, so that with our system, you could build a big apartment building or a single family home or all the way down to the little casita product that we're starting with. So it's a really broad thing in a market that's really big. It's kind of like a $1 trillion building construction is $1 trillion, multi-trillion dollar industry around the world. So what we have here is a really big upside if we get it right. And things are going well so far.
What, in terms of I'm going to come back to the target audience again, because I'm a big like data geek. What's the average age of the person that's putting a deposit down for your houses? Are they in their 30s? Are they in their 40s?
I'm not exactly sure, but I think it's probably the average is probably mid 30s.
Okay.
Probably that's most of our demographics on Instagram and deposits are at.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is there a certain geographic, is it West Coast? Is it national? You've had saturation all over the place? Or is there a certain state or city or MSA where people are gravitating from?
Yeah. California's the big one. And that's because, housing is most expensive in California. And they also have passed all these new laws to enable the backyard accessory dwelling unit housing there. So everyone's starting to find out about it. Lots of people are doing it. So we're getting, a lot of interest from there for sure.
And I mean, again, if you could talk about it, great. If not, that's fine. But how many like units put out this year? And then what are you forecasting, or last year? And what are you forecasting for 2024?
So right now we've built over 500 houses. We've been in operation for just a little bit over 2 years with the factory.
That's great.
That's, very small scale, just starting up, learning the ropes. We kind of think of this factory as like a prototype proof of concept factory. It should scale up to, we should be able to produce thousands of units per year out of our current manufacturing square footage. But even if we get to that number, like let's say we got to 5,000 houses per year, that's just still tiny compared to the demand for housing. And then both, the problem, which is the demand for housing, and our solution, it all calls for massive scale. We're talking assembly line mass production. And even in our 400,000 square feet, with several hundred employees, that's just still small scale. And we need to take things to the next level to really get all the efficiencies, to bring the costs down in a crazy way, to get something that's on par with the automobile makers, which is the best example of modern mass production. So, in a future factory, we want to be building one house per minute. I think that's, totally achievable. It's not something that's not done with other product categories. So why not housing? We've solved, the problems that we think have stopped that from happening historically. And, if we can achieve anything like that, I mean, the labor costs they just get slammed down to next to nothing. You get huge, buying power with your suppliers. Your raw material costs come down. We have a bunch of, engineering, a bunch of different engineering tweaks that, save money, reduce the part count in the building. Just like across the board, we just keep pushing and pushing and pushing to bring the cost down without compromising on anything. So the product we're building also needs to have superior energy ratings, fire ratings, wind ratings. We can't make a product that's subpar. It needs to be better than everything else. It needs to be cheaper than anything else. And that's the only way we win. And if we don't do any of that, then the company's just over, as far as I can tell.
Right. Do you see an increase? Like when do you see like an increase in production when you've kind of got stuff figured out and to go, okay, now it's time to let's roll?
Yeah. So we're getting there. Basically what we're working with right now is what me, Paolo, and Kyle, who are the three founders, picked and went with and just ran with it. So we went from basically a few prototypes that I built myself by hand into full production, huge factory, millions of dollars in equipment, hundreds of employees. So we literally had this like fully untested prototype, design. And we're like, all right, let's go and order 150 houses worth of parts for this and cross our fingers and hope that it all works and fits together. And I remember early days when I was standing out on the production line and a bunch of the parts came in. And these are parts, there's a long lead time. Something might come from China, it might come from here. It has to go through tooling and there's a long lead time. So then when everything finally arrived and I was dry fitting all the pieces of the wall panel together and they actually fit together, I was standing there, I was like, oh my God, thank you. Because if one thing had been off by an inch, we would have been fucked. Yeah. So that's the version of the product that we're still producing. And luckily it came out great. It's sellable. We're getting dialed in on it. We've learned a ton, but now we're working on the 2.0 version. So not only the 2.0 product, Casita, but the 2.0 manufacturing equipment. And that's actually the result of a big team, 2 years of doing it for real, R&D, mistakes, learn everything, learn.
It's a lot.
Yeah. So now
measure 5 times, cut once.
Yeah. So now that 2.0 is going to be leaps and bounds ahead of where the 1.0 is. Yeah. So right now we just spent about $15 million on new equipment. That's all being installed like as we speak. And
how's that feel, by the way?
It's pretty cool.
Like Christmas.
And it's yeah, we got a lot of like crazy shit coming in,
right on.
All getting set up.
Can you talk about like the new stuff that's come in?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so we have the new equipment and then we have the new product. So the redesign based on everything we learned. So all of that comes in, it gets turned on, everything looks good. And then we'll be like, now we're going to ramp up. Now we're going to produce more faster. So we've got a whole plan of how that'll go. Actually, the one of the equipment manufacturers just sent me a video before I walked in of all the stuff that they're currently testing in their warehouse before they bring it down to ours. Some of the equipment's here and some still over there. So like, maybe like, a few months we'll be online producing
Awesome.
the new product. And the new product is better on many fronts. It's got better structural ratings. It's got less parts pieces in it, so it's easier to manufacture. It's lower cost. It should require less labor. So we're just pushing on every front to kind of come out ahead. So that's really exciting. And basically, right now we have this big vacuum lamination system where we take the parts of the wall and we assemble them by the hand, and then it puts a tremendous amount of pressure on them, and then it locks together with adhesive into the finished panel. So we're going from that into this automated system where basically on one end of the factory, we load in a bunch of parts like pallets of fiber cement board, pallets of foam, and then the machine picks it up, puts it all together, assembles it, sends it through, paints it, cuts it, and out the other end comes out a finished panel. So with the new setup, we're expecting to be able to produce one panel every 3 minutes. And you can imagine, like in a traditional construction situation, how long does it take to build a wall? And not just the framer coming in doing the framing, the sheetrock guy, the painter, the electrician, all these different steps and all these different trades doing everything in a unique way, one at a time. Obviously, that number never comes close to 3 minutes. So, pretty amazing and exciting. And I feel like even at this small scale and early stage of the company, we're already really, really far ahead of where anyone else has ever gotten to before trying to solve this problem.
You remind me a lot of Tesla. A lot, because of just the groundbreaking shit you're doing and how you are meticulous. And because there's a lot of moving parts, like as you're talking about that, I'm thinking to myself, okay, you had like these new machines that are getting new equipment getting brought in. You're doing something that's so groundbreaking. How do you find the equipment that you need?
That's a good question. And it's basically been me just Googling shit, looking on YouTube, calling up people, asking weird questions, and just figuring out from nothing. So we put together a lot of different equipment that's not commonly used for building houses into our system. And the Tesla comparison, makes sense. It's a new technology, hardware startup, manufacturing, assembly line, all that good stuff. But I'd argue our opportunity is like kind of one step beyond Tesla, because Musk innovated on the electric he innovated on the electric cars, on the AI self-driving, on the manufacturing process, but we're actually able to go even one step kind of beyond that, which is we're taking an industry that's not currently in the assembly line and bringing it into the assembly line. He was already house automobile production was already done in a factory. So if we are able to successfully move building production into the mass production assembly line, like on a massive scale, the opportunity is just like incredibly, incredibly big.
Not if, when.
Yeah.
Manifest that shit, my friend. It's going to happen. You're going to do it.
We are. We're on our way. I believe we are.
You've surrounded yourself with good people. At least it looks like it. And you've got some money coming in. You're doing everything right in terms of you're taking your time. You're not in a rush. Scared money never makes money. Ever. And so for you to go, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. I would love to be a fly on the wall when you're calling like these tool and die manufacturers, probably like all over the world, going, well, this is what we do. And you do this, but I want you to build me this.
I don't even always tell them what I'm wanting to do. I'll just, ask them weird questions. And they're like, why are you asking me this obscure, weird question?
I love it.
Like, I just got to figure out this one thing and then I'll call you back.
Are they more intrigued a lot of times to go, well, tell me more. What do you say that you're a housing manufacturer?
It depends who I'm calling. Like if I'm calling, an equipment manufacturer, it's one discussion. Or if I'm calling up like, a competitor that makes wall panels and trying to find information about how they're doing it.
So you secret shop them.
But yeah, I mean, the whole thing's been totally amazing, wild ride, nonstop action. Every step has been like bigger and greater than I thought it would be. Like when I look back, 5 years ago and think, where did I think I would be today? I would never have imagined, we'd be up here. I always thought it was something smaller was the next step, but just happens to keep snowballing into like crazier and crazier aspirations the whole time. And I'm just sitting here like, all right, let's go. Let's keep going. So super exciting.
It's exciting because you keep putting it out there, especially with social media. Like, to use that, like, what other, you're a housing manufacturer, but you're not. It's just because you're your own entity.
Yeah.
But I've never seen another home manufacturer doing what you're doing in terms of its marketing. Because I first learned about you when I was in title and escrow for Fidelity here in town. Realtors I'm friends with were posting on Instagram that they're touring the Boxable facility.
Oh, nice.
And I'm like, the fuck is this? And I'm like, is it a tiny home? I'm like, yes, but no, it's not. It's so much more than that.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. The marketing has been like, absolutely amazing. It's brought in so many opportunities, but there's kind of like a dark side to it as well.
What do you mean?
So we have, millions of followers on, social media. We have probably tens of millions of impressions every month. We have 1 million plus people on our mailing list. So it's just like a lot of people, and it's a lot of people looking at us. So whenever you have that much people, a certain percentage of them are bound to be maybe crazy or weird
Absolutely.
or wacky. So
1000%,
I'm
yes.
getting like a taste of like, what a celebrity feels like. And it's been like a very interesting experience. The amount of attention, we've attracted, and it's not all good. So, we have a lot of supporters, but we have a lot of haters too.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them are just deranged and like out to get us and waiting for us to fail and like harassing us online. And it's all part of the territory. And, in a way, I think, the haters always kind of help you out as well. It kind of backfires on them, because even when somebody like attacks you and maybe they beat you in that battle, you learn from it and you end up, stronger in the end, so it's definitely been an interesting experience on that front.
How old are you?
36.
Okay. I'm 54. And the thing I've learned, I've talked about it ad nauseum here, is only you give permission to somebody to offend you, right? Like, the only people in my orbit, in my ecosystem that can offend me in my life right now are my girlfriend and my kids. That's it. They're allowed, because I love them so much.
Yeah.
And they could say something, my kids especially are 14 and 8, and they're great kids. Don't get me wrong. I'm blessed with fucking great kids, but they're the ones that are most likely to hurt me. I had one of my clips went viral, 2.3 million views.
Nice.
I talked about, thank you. I talk about how I don't coddle my kids. I tell them, the 3 words I tell them the most isn't I love you, it's figure it out.
That's good.
Right? Because, and now my 8-year-old son, Jack, he can do bacon, pancakes, eggs on the griddle, no problem. He made orange chicken last night in the air fryer with rice, with a rice steamer. 8 years old, done.
That's a great technique.
Right? Like, and it's life skills. And so, but that's a third rail when you put that out there to tell, because I said it, it's on the video. I say, if you compare my kids who are growth mindset kids to kids who have helicopter parents, or the parents are doing everything for them right now, fast forward 10 years in the job market, my kid's going to eat that kid's fucking lunch. And I will fly that flag all day long.
Yeah, you're right.
And people were like, the best one was, he definitely beats his kids. And my reply back was, only to the back of the head, hashtag no marks.
Oh my God.
Fuck them. I also love, I use ChatGPT, and here's one for you. If I get hate, and I get it all the time, a lot on YouTube, what I'll do is I take the transcript of that video, put it in ChatGPT and say, hey, here's the video. Here's a not nice comment that was left about that video. Give me 5 funny replies.
Nice.
And it'll come up with some pretty witty shit.
Yeah.
That because you want, at the end of the day, as long as it's not bad, I'm good with the haters because it keeps the algorithm loving on you.
That's the other
so you
thing.
keep that
The
conversation
algorithm.
going that you could motherfuck me all you want to. My big thing is this, especially with Instagram. I'm giving you space in my little world on Jeff.Fargo or Fargo Talks Instagram pages. Let me reply back to your comment. If I can't, you're blocked and banned. Then you're out. Fuck them and feed them fish. They're out.
You're right about the algorithm, though. You know, if somebody hates on you online, they're literally helping you. They're helping more people to see what you're doing.
Please, if you hate me, leave comments. Please. That's just me, not Boxable. That's just me. But it is something that I'm so comfortable with who I am. And being an East Coast guy, it's just we're just thicker skinned.
Yeah.
And so you can come at me with all the haterade you want. I'm good. I'm
Nice.
good. And as long as I can reply back, and I have people now that reply back to every single comment.
Nice. Yeah, we do that too.
Because that's the thing where the algorithms then go, boop, and that's how you get love from because they want you on that platform having that conversation.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to say something that you're like, this is a little edgy. You know, again, you've got different parameters because of investors and stuff going on, but look at Musk. I mean, look at he's doing bong hits with fucking Rogan.
You're right.
You know, I'm not saying for you to do that. If you ever wanted to, let me know. We'll fucking do it in a second. But don't be afraid to be you, because that's the big things. I have guys I'm friends with that have an M after their name, and I have friends with a B after their name. And there's some of them that when this happens, they lose who they are. And it's because of the money. And it's because of all these people they feel they're responsible for, and they lose that inner, piece of who they are. And take it for what it's worth as advice from a friend. You always want to double down on you. And if you've got something right here, let it go through a little filter, but make sure it comes out here as fast as possible.
No, you're right. And it's funny, I use Musk as an excuse a lot. I'm like, well, look what he's doing and it's working for him. Maybe I can be even more inappropriate than I already am.
How insane were the reviews when he bought Twitter? And now it's like, I mean, yes, they've got their ups and downs, but I was on Twitter for years. I'm back on it now. Love it.
You can't bet against him. He just wins and wins and wins.
You can never bet long negative against, to be bearish against Musk.
Yeah.
He's smarter than the average bear, and he works his ass off.
Yeah, and I love Twitter now since he took over. Before that, I didn't care about it.
Same.
And now I'm all over
right?
Twitter.
Are you on there personal, or are you on there as for Boxable?
We have both, but
Okay.
I post a lot on my personal. I've been getting pretty good view counts
Good
on
for
the
you.
posts. If you look at mine, you'll see a lot of them are inappropriate and funny.
But as they should be, because that's who you are, right?
Yeah, and we got to get the views.
Well, it's because nowadays, again, I think that there's now becoming like a backlash to the whole woke culture thing.
Oh yeah.
That now it's
Absolutely.
like people have fucking had it.
Absolutely.
They fucking had it.
The tide has turned on that.
And don't get me wrong, like Harvey Weinstein's a fucking monster. He's a monster. But someone like Louis C.K., who I love, I think he's hysterical. And this is just me. But he gets canceled. And again, I could get it wrong, but he was talking to women. They're coming up to his hotel room consensually at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and they didn't want to mess around. So he takes care of himself in front of them. Okay, little weird. But again, if it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you're coming up to my hotel room, we're fucking. Like, or at least I'm assuming we're fucking, or at least I'm getting a hand job. Like, but he gets canceled for that. And again, I could have wildly exaggerated everything, but that's what I remember from that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? And I think now people are starting to double check what's being said. And so for you to be original and to say it's inappropriate, bless your heart, my friend.
Yeah. I mean, and the tides are turning on that, and it goes far beyond what you said. Basically on every front of all this bullshit that's been going on, people are being pushed too far, and they're like, "This is enough," and they're converting back, and they're sick of it. Musk definitely, has had a hand in that by taking over Twitter, turning it into a free speech place instead
For
of
him
a
to say
place.
"fuck you" to Bob Iger, did you see that one?
No, what was that?
It was last month. He was at a thing, and it's one of the guys from like CNBC, who's just a vanilla head, was asking him questions at a big crowd. And it was some big event that was going on. I think it was in New York. And he said, what do you think about Bob Iger, threatening to pull advertising dollars from X, Twitter?
The Disney guy.
Yeah, the Disney guy.
Yeah.
And he said, fuck you.
Oh, that was great. I saw that clip.
Fuck
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I'm like, praise Jesus. Because who the fuck does Iger think he is?
Yeah.
And he's an old school guy in his 70s that's, back from when, nope, I control what's going on.
Yeah.
Like how the, like Procter and Gamble, like they're all the ones that control a lot of media because they do all the ad buys.
Yeah.
For like medical stuff or for like tissue paper. They do most of the ad buys. And so they control a lot. They have control of the content. And so now you see podcasting going on where I don't give a fuck what anybody says. And the thing is, I'm talking to sponsors now, but it's sponsors that I will use their product, but also they think the way I do.
Yeah.
And it's somebody that I'd have beers with, or we'd have gummies together.
Yeah.
Or we'd microdose together. Those are the people I want to hang out with. It's just life's too short.
Yeah.
What's your feeling with strategic partnerships, and who are some people that you're partnering with or want to partner with?
Yeah. So we were lucky early on. We got D.R. Horton involved. D.R. Horton's like the largest home builder in the U.S. And they were just looking around at all the different, alternative, modular type building solutions. And they understand what the problems are and the limitations better than anyone because they're building more houses. And, they came to our factory when it was just an empty building, and they watched us get it all set up, and they ended up, investing in us and placing an order. And, that was pretty good because, they know what's
That's
going
cool.
on, and they recognized that we had figured out a few things that no one else had. And they said, these guys might figure this out. And their business model is, they hire subcontractors to do the building. So they don't really necessarily care about all that. They don't want to have this hassle. They don't want to deal with all these subcontractors. They don't want
It cuts out the middleman.
a 9-month build time. Yeah, they don't want to do any of that. If there was an easier way to get all the stuff that they're handling now done by someone else in one shot, they'd love that. So, we were lucky to get in with them. And then, besides that, we're now looking to a lot of different international players because we think the solution we have, our principles will make it the best housing solution, not just here in the US, but it'll apply anywhere in the world. So we're now talking to a lot of international players about potentially doing partner factories. Hopefully we'll get one of those, locked in sooner than later. But basically we want to take our formula that we're perfecting and proving right now, and we want to, sell it to other people around the world through partner factories and start producing more houses. And, the housing issue and the housing crisis is not just in the US. It's everywhere. I mean, you can even look at, some of these, war-torn countries or natural disaster places. The housing needs are the numbers are crazy. I mean, the numbers are totally crazy.
How cool would it be that, again, my brain goes fucking everywhere with this stuff. I love this shit. I fucking love this shit, man. Is that, heaven forbid something happens in, let's say, somewhere over some Eastern Bloc country that shit's Ukraine.
Yep.
That shit's going sideways. But in another year from now, stuff finally, Putin, they freaking settle their shit and it's good. But you've got these cities that are just devastated.
Yeah.
And how cool would it be for you to be able to come in to go, we can do this for you. You could have a home, and usually it's this amount of time. Now it's this.
Yep.
And it's a gorgeous house for you. Set it and forget it. You're all set. Like, how cool would that be as just for you when you go to bed at night to go, this is how I'm affecting people's lives?
Oh yeah. Yeah. No. And we're absolutely planning on that. And that's like the bigger picture here is what we're doing could potentially just have a huge impact on helping people all around the world and like reducing like suffering overall. Because, if there was more housing available to more people, higher standard of living, lower cost of living, it's just like you can do so much good with it. So, hopefully we'll get there. And You know, the Ukraine one is a perfect example. You know, we'd love to put a factory there, and when they're
Dude, call
done,
Zelensky. I mean,
yeah,
I
when they're
think
done
that
blowing it up, we'll fix it.
like
Yeah.
for you to have a relationship with say like Zelensky or someone to go, hey, we'll come in and we'll take care of boom, 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 and do government contracts would be, dude. That's like next level shit. But it's all scalability, and you go, okay, you know what? We're going to drop a manufacturing facility right, and, you know, over here, and so right near it's either in that country or near the country. Boom, and off you go, and spoke it from there, and off you go.
Yeah.
You know,
we're absolutely going down that road on a number of fronts. And I think it's only a matter of time before we prove what we're doing. Like, we really prove it. And anyone can look at what we're doing here and say, this works, the numbers crunch, the product is real, the solution works, and we're going to start copying this all over the place. And, you know.
So right now, what's the largest model you offer? Do you have a 2-bedroom?
Well, right now we're just producing the Casita model. It's
Right.
basically 20 feet by 20 foot room. It's got kitchen, bathroom, bed, couch in it, kind of like a little studio apartment. And then we're about to do some where we take 2 of those boxes and stick them together. So one would have kitchen, living room, and the other would be split into maybe 2 bedrooms, and we stick those together. We actually did a prototype of that at the last builder show, and there's a video of it on our YouTube where we connected 3 boxes together, 2 on the first floor, 1 on the top floor, master bedroom on the top, 2 bedrooms on the bottom, and then the living room, kitchen, and then a roof deck above the other
I
one.
saw that.
Yeah.
That's badass.
Yeah, it's really nice. And that'll start to kind of expand people's understanding of what the company is beyond, you know, tiny house as well.
When you produce something like that, and again, not holding you to finite numbers, what type of price range am I looking at if I'm going to buy that?
It's got to be the lowest cost ever. Otherwise, the company has failed. That's like our goal. You know, we have to bring housing prices down, you know, dramatically. And I think based on our principles, we should be able to do that. Based on the principles of the assembly line, factory mass production, we should be able to do that. So
under 300?
I don't know. It would depend on exactly what the configuration is on the house. The way I think of it is like, if you look at a big production home builder like D.R. Horton, what's their current cost to build a house, like their cost? We need to be able to sell to them below their cost so they can be buying in bulk and wholesale from us, and we can get up to the scale that we need to do.
And I'm looking even from the consumer standpoint to say, for me to get into a home right now in Las Vegas, like a 2-bedroom home, 6, you know, 5,
Yeah.
550.
Yeah.
You get into something somewhere. It might not be the best neighborhood, but 550.
And that's like double what it was when I moved here.
Right? Right? I mean, don't get me started with that. It's fucking bananas.
Yeah.
If there's a way you could come in to where, say and you're private labeled, you're white labeled under the D.R. Horton flag, and they say, we have these, you know, whatever you call it, units, and they're $375, $350, but it's the same quality as those 5 to 550s.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Horton, their biggest thing is getting the land.
Yeah.
You know, and running infrastructure and pouring the slabs.
Which there's no land here because the federal government owns it all in Vegas.
Let's talk about that for a second.
Fuck the government.
Let's talk about that for a second, because I'm 1,000% with you about that one.
Yeah.
Is that one of the biggest challenges that you see especially in Nevada?
It's not just land.
Is BLM?
It's not just land. It's the government in general, and the government regulations are, you know, huge problem. Not even just in housing, in every aspect of our lives. And, you know, they've boiled the frog slowly with it. So a lot of people don't even realize. But when I look at like housing and our product, there is a massive amount of regulations at the federal, state, and local level that are all just meddling and interfering and slowing down housing and increasing costs. And it's all just complete bullshit. It's all just to fund useless, you know, government bureaucracy.
It's a money grab.
Fake jobs.
Yeah,
and
it's a money grab.
It's a complete scam. And it just grows and grows and grows every year and gets worse and worse. And I think for Boxable, that's like the other half of the equation. Not only do we have to fix, you know, the way we're building the houses and bring them into the factory, but we also have to fix the regulations, because that's contributing so much to the cost of houses, especially by just slowing down the development. I mean, if you've ever tried to get a building permit or build a building, it can take you years to get told, oh, you're allowed to build on your own private property, on your own land. You're allowed to build something. Like if I have, a 100-acre plot of land and I want to build a shed in the middle of it, the government's going to stop me. Why? Like, fuck you. It's insane. And the whole thing is just so ridiculous. It's so far from like the founding principles of the country. For example, guess what? In America, land of the free, no one's even allowed to own land. No one owns land. Everyone just rents it from the government, because if you don't pay your property tax, they're going to come and, evict you. They're going to evict you. So what kind of situation is that? I mean, you can't own land. You can't build what you want on your own land. I've run into, since starting Boxable, so many different government agencies trying to meddle and cause problems. It's insanity, and it's so frustrating. And building construction is one of the worst, most highly regulated areas. The rule book on this stuff is like a mile long.
This is federal and state, just local, just every level,
just everything. I mean, we have not only the local building department causing problems, we have state programs. Like, for example, in most states, in order to build factory built housing, you have to go through the state modular program. So not only do you need the approval of the local building department, then you need the approval of this state modular program. And then there's a million federal rules and federal agencies meddling as well. For example, we've been producing houses for 2 years. In 2 years, I've managed to, turn on 3 factory buildings, hire hundreds of employees, install millions of dollars of equipment, prototype and bring to market this new product with new building materials, new manufacturing methods. But I have not been able to get, up until I think last week, one state to let us sell houses in their state. So we started applying for these state modular programs, and I knew that it would be hard at the beginning, but I never thought it would be this hard. So now, 2 years later, we finally got approval from the first state, which is Arizona, to actually sell the houses. And the process behind that was fucking insane. It was insane. I felt like I was smashing my head against the wall. Yeah. There was every excuse under the sun to delay it. There was every rule. There was every confusing nonsense, fees, fines. I mean, it's just complete madness. So that's like big part of the problem that Boxable has to solve, as well as regulatory reform.
That comes down to, in my opinion, writing checks for lobbyists in Carson City and at any state where you have a presence or want a presence at their state capital, DC, that you have people there going, come on.
Or we can just stage like a full revolution, like a kind of an overthrow of the government.
I've got another 1,000 rounds of 308 getting dropped off. I give my UPS guy a hernia about every 2 months. I live in Inspirata, out in Henderson West, and so if Pahrump or Baker, California ever invades, I will fuck people up.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I will done, and I learned that from my dad. I just got another 1,000 rounds of 308 last week. Just got dropped off. Yeah.
That's great. It's very important.
Yeah. I'm a big advocate of that, and lifelong NRA member. And again, it's not for everybody. That's okay. But you know what? In this country, I'm allowed to own fucking firearms as many as I want to.
You should.
And I can have as much. They're all behind a safe. I put my gummies in a safe, so when my kids are over there, they don't get near it.
If we didn't have guns in this country, we'd have less rights, less freedoms, more rules, more restriction, more oppression, more, one guy telling every other guy what to do. It's crazy.
Who do you like that's running for president, if anyone?
I would love to see Trump get back in, just to see his vengeance. I mean, think about it. Think about
so true.
So I'm like,
so true.
So I'm like a libertarian. I believe in small government. I think you get, more benefit for more people when you have smaller government. I think it's a no-brainer. I think it's, economics. But I mean, Trump has just been tortured. They've thrown everything at him they could. And so if he gets back in, what is he going to do to them? He's going to eviscerate the whole thing. And the other cool thing too is, I think the other next guy in line, Vivek, is the same way. He's a libertarian too,
but he's good.
He's not a politician, and he wants to destroy the government too. Yeah. So he literally said, I'm going to fire 50% of the federal workers on day one. Like, oh my God, it's like a dream. Like I would never have dreamed that would even happen.
And he's age appropriate to run for office. I like Trump, don't get me wrong. I like Trump, but Trump's late 70s. Now he's much more coherent than who's in there now. Like,
dude,
come on.
So bad.
It's so bad. It's embarrassing for us on a national level.
Why couldn't they have come up with a different, puppet? Like, why him? I mean, it was just such a poor choice. Like, out of all the people they could have picked to be there,
It's the Koch brothers. It's whoever. It's everyone that's got all the billionaires that put money into the super PAC so it can't be traced. And they go, this is going to be the dumbest guy, the king of the retards, to go ahead and take care and execute our agendas.
It's too dumb.
But and I think it has backfired greatly because now Trump's the odds-on favorite. Vivek, I think, is also excellent.
Yeah.
I like DeSantis.
I loved him, and I loved him as a governor. And
for him to keep Florida open during COVID turned out to be brilliant.
Oh, he did an amazing job.
Right. He was like, I love him also because he's a nationally known Republican that's pushed back at Trump.
So we have 3 epic candidates, and they have Biden.
Really?
That's crazy.
Oh, so do you work with the state assembly or or here with people in Carson City?
We interact with like tons of different government people all over the place, and it's really a disaster because it's 50 different state programs. So I can't get my houses approved in the United States and sell them. I have to go through 50 fucking different state regulatory regimes. And I mean, it's crazy. It's such a barrier to entry for, my company, other companies. It's insane. So we have a big plan to, rewrite the building code, rewrite the modular programs.
Please do.
Overhaul the whole thing, use various tactics to pressure it into existence. And it's going to be a big fight. And it's kind of like if you look at like Uber, for example, or Airbnb, they constantly have regulatory battles with the taxi commission or with local ordinances on Airbnb. So we're going to have to go through and just, have bloody fights nonstop. And we've already actually had, a few fights. For example, the state of Arizona fined us, shut down our job. They told me, they said, if you ship one more house into our state, we're going to arrest you and charge you criminally. That's what they said to me.
Oh, say please do. That'd be the best fucking content ever.
And you know what? The whole thing is so ridiculous that I actually went to the Arizona Department of Housing to meet with them. And I rolled up to their building, and I noticed out front there was a massive homeless encampment on their front steps of the Arizona Department of Housing. And then I went in there to a meeting where they were blocking us from putting down 200 housing units for no good reason, for made up bureaucratic reasons. And these people are so disconnected from reality that they don't realize we're the Department of Housing. We have homeless encampment on our front street, yet we're fucking with this guy who's trying to put nice houses into the state. And I'm just sitting there like, the fuck are you doing? Why? You need to think. Yeah. But they're kind of like well-intentioned government bureaucrats. They're not necessarily doing it to be dicks. Some of them are. And we've met some, government bureaucrats like that as well. But really, like every step of the way, it's painful with these regulations for us. So
do you promote the battle? Like we're talking about now.
Yeah. Like I try to be careful. Like even what I just said, if somebody sees that, what I just said, the Arizona Department of Housing, are they going to be pissed and cause me more problems?
Right.
Probably they are.
But it's no worse than where you are right now.
But maybe it's not. So, you know, I do try and leverage it. I do try and, you know, get people on our side. I do post, you know, on Twitter about some of this stuff and try to get people riled up and get people understanding, like when they're looking at our company and the decisions we're making and why things are going a certain way. And I want a house tomorrow. No, you can't have one. Why is that? Like they kind of need to know all the things
Call your code enforcement officer.
going around. Yeah. It's like another funny example. We deployed a house in Pahrump and the local building department decided to call the state, and then they wrote us a letter saying, this house doesn't have wheels on it. You need to remove it. And if you don't, we will have the state attorney general, whatever, file criminal charges against you. Again, they threatened me. They threatened me with a gun and handcuffs over putting up a fucking house when people need houses and there's nothing wrong with the house. And the stupidest thing about that one was they said that it had to have wheels on it. And I'm like, why does a fucking house need wheels?
So it's a trailer, like a mobile home?
Yeah, but why does a house need wheels?
Yeah,
anyway?
why?
It doesn't make any sense. And then then they took it even a step further. I was like, all right, we'll go out and we'll install the wheels. And they're like, no, you got to take it back to your factory and then put the wheels and then bring it back. So we'll incur thousands of more dollars in costs.
Why?
Why? Exactly. Why? Like, I mean, it's crazy. And the list of things like that is so long. I wrote it up, you know, a few months ago. I was just frustrated and I sat and I wrote a list of all the reasons we've been told
Good for you.
why we can't build or deploy the houses. And it's just fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy. And it's the result of, you know, 1,000 tiny little regulations that never die and they build up over time and
Death
they grow
by 1,000 cuts.
and they grow. And, you know, now here we are paralyzed. You know, everyone's paralyzed by these regulations. So I really hope, you know, one of these guys gets in and throws a bomb and blows up the whole thing, you know, blows up all the regulations. And I hope Vivek fires half the government workers. And I think that would result in massive prosperity for everyone. Because not only are you paying your taxes to all these salaries and all these and enforcing of all these rules and wasting that money, but then on the flip side, all these bureaucrats are slowing people down. They're slowing companies down in progress. So it's just like draining. It's like a cancer on society. So
I think that, thank you, by the way, for being so open.
Fuck the government.
It means a lot. Dude, it's something that something's got to give.
Yeah.
And you could see it. We're at a boiling point. We are at a boiling point in this nation. And it's something that Washington, I don't think they're even aware of really how it is. And these, you know, it's like American oligarchs. They're just so rich and so desensitized from like look at Blackstone just buying, I'm going to do a whole fucking tangent on that, but just buying up everything, like everything, you know, the hedge funds grabbing everything. What? You know, to basically eliminate, you know, the dream of home ownership is gone if they have their way. And I know that there's now legislation they're talking about to say you can't do this anymore. Where were you 4 or 5 years ago? It's been going on forever. Forever it's been going on. So we'll see. In closing, I have one question for you, my friend.
Yeah. Because
again, I appreciate your honesty.
Yeah.
I would love to have you back on here because we need a part 2.
Yeah.
What is it that gets you out of bed in the morning, given all the great stuff that you're working on, but then also the blowback that you're getting? What is it that you get up in the morning and go, I'm going to fuck this day up today?
You know, I think I'm kind of like just wired for it. And if I'm not like working, I'll become like depressed, I guess, basically. Cause like, you know, I don't even need to work. I don't need money or anything. And I haven't for a while. And, you know, I've tried not to, but then I'm unhappy. So I want to go out and, you know, have the challenges and the exhilaration. And frankly, it's a lot of suffering. And a lot of times it just sucks. Like, you know, especially when you're trying to solve something so like big and ambitious. And but then, you know, there's moments where you kind of break through and it's you know, euphoric. So I think that's kind of what I live for.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. And if anyone wants to learn more about Boxable, you know, head over to the website, boxable.com. Check out our social media, YouTube, Instagram. We're basically posting updates about what we're doing nonstop. And as I said before, everyone's welcome to come to Las Vegas and have a tour of the factory.
It's awesome. And obviously, as a courtesy I do for all my guests, and we'll get a ton of good shorts out of this. You'll be added as a collaborator. Boxable will be whomever you want. And then so audiences can go back and forth, and then it gets even, you know, pebble in the pond.
Nice.
So
sounds great.
that's what it's all about.
Let's do it.
Thank you, sir.
Cool.